everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Trick Tips. My name is Andre Hengshua, and you can call me Gretorp. I'll be walking you through ways that you can become a better player. Now, this week we're going to be focusing on all the races. You know, this is like the miscellaneous edition. A lot of times there's a specific trick for the particular race. So I'm going to go through every single one of them. I have one trick for every race. I'm just going to show you and try to empower you with the tools to become a better player. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with Terran. Now, this isn't so much a trick, rather it's something underutilized heavily in the scene. And I've been a big proponent of this. It's building armor. Now, it's in the engineering bay. You can go to the bottom right and you can see it upgrades the armor of all buildings by 2. This is really useful as bunkers already have +1 armor. They're going to have a total of 3 armor if you upgrade that. But we're going to look at the control first. I'm going to go ahead and load up 12 Marines into these bunkers. And now you can see 8 Zealots, 4 Stalkers, and we're just going to go ahead and attack into this. And I don't want to do too much micro. I just want you guys to see the effect so it can be exactly the same both times around. I'm just going to attack into this and see how the Protoss actually fares at the end of this battle. And as you can see, the bunkers are going down slow. The Zealots are getting ripped up pretty fast, but by the end of it, it's 4 Stalkers against a good amount of Marines. And with some micro, I'm sure the Terran or the Protoss could win this. It just depends how well you micro it. But as it stays here, Protoss is going to come out on top. Let's go ahead and check out how +2 building armor affects all of this. Alright, so +2 building armor is research right there. I'm going to load them in. And let's go ahead and attack again. Again, I want to have as least micro as possible just to show the same effects, or at least show the same scenarios, just with the differences. And just simple attack into it. And you can see the bunker is actually staying alive a lot longer if you actually noticed it from before. Zealots are getting cleaned up quite substantially. All you need is a couple more seconds, and you're actually able to stay alive substantially longer. And look at that, bunkers are actually still alive. The Stalkers aren't going to be able to handle this, and it looks like Terran will win it out. So that's awesome to see. Now, building armor gives you more time. That's how you can look at it. And time is really good for your DPS. Remember, if those Marines die, then you're not really doing any damage. But because they have that extra +2 armor, even if it's a couple more seconds, you can see they're able to dish out a little bit more damage, which actually turns the tide in the game. Maybe it's 2, 3, 4 seconds, but trust me, when Colossus are beaming down on you and you need that extra DPS, that extra space for your Vikings to get in 1 or 2 more rounds, that could be the difference between a game won and a game lost. Hence why bunker armor is probably one of the most important upgrades, in my opinion, for the Terran race. Alright, now we're going to look at Zerg, and the trick I have for you is hatchery canceling. Now there's 2 main ways that I've used hatchery canceling in the past. I'm going to show you the first way right now. Let's say there's a Protoss that wants to build their expansion right here, and I'm like, oh, well, I have a drone right over here, but I don't want to make a hatchery just to cover them, to block them from taking this expansion. So what I do, I hatchery cancel, and then I make it an evolution chamber really quick. Now, I didn't get it that time, but you have to be really quick with it. There we go. Evolution chamber is going to pop down, and now there's this 750 hit point structure in the middle, and you didn't really commit too many minerals. There was 75 minerals for the hatchery and then 75 minerals from the evolution chamber. So 150, but if it's blocking a nexus, that's really, really good. And as you can see, I'm against just an AI, so it's nothing of value. Let's go ahead and look at the other trick that we can use hatchery canceling. That's going to be to spread creep. So as I said, creep spread is one of the most important things in StarCraft 2. I think for Zerg, if you want to be a good player, not only do you need good inject, but you need good creep spread. Now here's the problem that I see with creep spread. I put down a creep tumor, and look at what this creep tumor affects. It affects this area, right? Because I already have creep in this. What if I could put creep right here, though, and it affects the whole area? Well, that's the purpose of this hatchery cancel. Remember, when a hatchery cancels, it has creep there. Just creep left over, you can actually see it right there. You cancel the hatchery for 75 minerals, but then you place creep in the middle of the map, wherever you want it to be. And yes, it does recede for now, but then 2 creep tumors will actually blossom all over the map. So just think, your creep is actually so much farther forward than normal. You get a big advantage in your creep. Not only that, you get to see everything that's going on. And a lot of times this is good for Zerg vs Terran, Zerg vs Protoss, just to make sure that you have eyes on the map and you have complete domination with your speedlings. You just make them a little bit more speedy. So Terran and Zerg definitely have their advantages, but what do we look for in Protoss? There's not very many tricks actually, but I found one trick that I think is super important, and I've been actually saying this a ton of times to pro players, that they should definitely incorporate this in their play. And what is it? It's recall, but it's recall in a slightly different way. It's mainly for Protoss versus Terran, but it could definitely be used for Protoss versus Zerg. I'm going to show you this little trick with recall. We're just going to use Daybreak again. Let's go ahead and head into the game. Alright, so here I have a maxed out army, just about. Let me go ahead and max out right now. There, boom, maxed out. So I have a maxed out army here, but I want to know how to attack into a Terran, or a Zerg, or a Protoss, because I know I can do a lot of damage with this army. I just need to have the right positioning. Well, a lot of times in TVP or even PvZ, Protosses have a lot of trouble doing that, with fungal and EMP being so prevalent. And a lot of times people say motherships can't really be used because, you know, Vortex doesn't really work too often just because of EMPs. And recall, yeah, it's good, but it has very limited uses. I can't go in directly on top of this base. Now it is a Zerg in this case, but I can't go on top of this base and be like, oh, I'm going to kill you, because I can be easily EMP'd or Vikings actually get me. But look at this little trick. All you have to do to recall is say, which ledge am I closer to? Okay, and you make sure your mothership, you can see it's out of range, out of sight of the Zerg army, and really if turrets were right here, not really a big deal because you're going to be out of range of that as well. And see, okay, well this is the closer ledge. Look at this. Where are they going to go? They go right there. Boom. Right over on the side of the ledge. And you're going to be able to do so much damage to Terrans, even if they have ghosts in position. They can't do anything because all of a sudden, even the computer knows that the game is over. It's just a nice little trick using recall that I think is an underutilized tool. Even though you're not directly over land, you can still get there in safety. As always, guys, please, please, please take this with a little grain of salt. This isn't always the absolute best way to play out a match. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, only get the building armor and disregard everything else. No, you guys try to fit it into where it belongs, what the position calls for. You ask yourself that, and then you say, does this exist? Does this belong? And then you go from there. Sometimes that recall just doesn't work because the base trade is there. If maybe sometimes you need 200 energy because you need to recall there and then recall back. So there's a lot of situations where you have to look into the actual scenario and say, is this the right tool to use? So I really implore you guys, think before you act. But as always, this is going to be this week's edition of Trick Tip. I hope you enjoyed that. Email me at gretorp@nasl.tv if you have any questions. But till then, bye guys.